Norwich won, Leeds United won. At the end of the day, it's a point, and it could be significantly worse, but this was a stressful match for a good few reasons. So let's run through absolutely everything from the big story that you are here for to every little bit about the match, and we'll ultimately find out where we stand on it. So, first up, I think it's only fair that it's the bit that you want to hear. It's the Ilia Gruev injury update, because looking at the squad right now, we are a little bit sparse on players in various places, but I'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. But with Ilia Gruev, it's a knee issue, and according to Daniel Farker, it doesn't look good, which tells me that he's potentially out for, at the very least, Friday's match and maybe into the international break. However, we don't know for sure. He will be fully assessed in the coming days, assuming they get back to Thorpe Arch and run all the tests they need to on him without the constraints of being somewhere that isn't their own sort of base of operations. The presser is expected on Thursday this week because it's normally Thursday. It's not going to be tomorrow because tomorrow's a little bit too soon, and we're playing on Friday, so it's a really confined week. But that's when we can expect more updates and to find out what's going on with Ilia Gruev. But this is sort of one new addition in what is a deepened injury crisis that is causing some quite significant issues at Leeds at the minute. You've got Ampadu and Gruev missing in central midfield, and that is made worse by the fact that they are both holding midfielders. We've got one more holding midfielder at the club, but that is Charlie Crew, and we really don't want him to be making his debut against the top of the league. In terms of centre-back, still, Ampadu is missing, and he can play there, and Max Fuber is out for 6 weeks, which gives us two options there, Rodon and Strauch. And then you look at the wings, Dan James and Manor Solomon are still out for a little while, potentially beyond the international break. We still don't know for certain. And Isaac Schmidt, our spare fullback, also missed this match with a little bit of an issue with his glute. So we've gone from a couple of minor niggles to full-blown injury crisis in not much time at all. And in my opinion, this explains some people's concerns of subbing off Ramazani and Nonto. We need to look after them. I think we hit a point in that game where we were just thinking, okay, we'll probably take a point from this because we're away on the road to a team that hasn't lost at home in 10 months. Feels sensible to think, okay, maybe we don't push so hard and we make sure that we can actually do something against Sunderland, because I imagine if Ramazani and Nonto stay on there and get injured, you'd be significantly angrier than if we substituted them. But injury crisis aside, let's talk a little bit about the match. So, talking about the match itself, I'm going to go through defence, midfield, attack, and then a couple of other little talking points. So I'm going to start with the defence, and to be fair, it was still fairly solid, all things considered. Norwich scored, yeah, sure, fine. But they scored from what was genuinely a little bit of an unfortunate issue, which was Rodon went in for a challenge, clearly mistimed it, or thought that they were having a shot, clipped Josh Sargent's leg, and then it was a penalty, and there's not much that you can do about that. Melier looked a little bit silly with his attempt at a save, but I think that's because he's moved his weight to one leg. It's gone slightly to the other side, so he's sort of had to sort of bounce off a leg that's got the wrong amount of weight on it, and he's sort of whipped a little bit. Looks stupid, but I can understand what he was going for there. Didn't work out, but sometimes that's going to happen. That was only their sort of, that was not words, that was their only real chance, is what I was aiming to say, and then didn't. Which I don't mind too much. It sort of shows that we know what we are doing at the moment defensively. We've got a decent enough structure with Strauch and Rodon. Strauch made an excellent last-ditch challenge in the second half, by the way. Genuinely fantastic, that I think saved us the point. But that wasn't particularly helped by the fact that we are sort of struggling with midfield at the minute. We know this, we know we've got injuries, and we lost a lot of control for obvious reasons. Having a number 6 is a significant part of our sort of tactical shape, because it means that you've got your 6 sitting in and then the 2 centre-backs. 8 plays a little bit higher up, full-backs bomb on, you've still got 3 sitting at the back, keeping things nice and secure. Tanaka likes playing as an aggressive 8. Gruev likes playing as an aggressive 8. Not Gruev, Rothwell likes playing as an aggressive 8, whereas Gruev will sit, Ampadu will sit. Having those two aggressive players meant that they didn't particularly know what their job was until we got into the second half, at which point we gained more control, because you will have had a little bit more of a conversation in the dressing room to say, right, okay, cool, you do the more defensive stuff at these points, I'll do it at these points, and then everything will work out a little bit more. Tanaka-Rothwell could be a reasonably good pairing against sort of the lower level sides in this division, but it's a concern on the defensive side of things, and we could do with a little bit of training between that pairing before the Sunderland match, maybe a little bit of a sort of midfieldy sesh where Ampadu and Gruev just tell them, right, okay, this is what you do in the number 6 role, just to make sure. I know Tanaka's played as a 6 before, but not in this system and not quite in the same way. He was more of a ball progressing 6 when he's done stuff in the past. Either way, hopefully we get a bit of training between those soon, because I think midfield is somewhere that we could have improved in this match. Not their fault in the slightest. Big injuries caused big problems, but we can see. And then we need to talk about the attack. Obviously, not quite as flowing as last time out, because a big part of last time out was it flowed because the ball came from midfield and it progressed really nicely, and then the attackers had a lot of space to work in. We were less good at the transitional stuff in this match, and we slowed it down a little bit because it felt like we didn't want to lose on the road, which is completely fair, because we know Norwich are very, very good at Carrow Road. They've turned that place into a fortress, and it felt like we didn't want to take too many risks, especially after the injury. I feel like if Gruev stays on, we play a lot more transitional stuff and we're more confident with it, but a little bit safer this way. Someone that I noticed struggled a little bit was Mateo Joseph, who struggled to gain space, really, but that's because on the 15th minute, they took the lead and then were like, okay, cool, we've seen that low blocks work well against Leeds. And then when we had the ball, they'd just sit, which meant that Joseph didn't have much space. That's why I think we went to Piru and Bamford at the top in the second half, because although we weren't necessarily chasing all 3 points, it's a lot harder to gang up on 2 strikers than it is the 1. Although it was still, I think, a mistake to have Piru sitting in front of Bamford a lot of the time, because Bamford's going to press a lot more effectively. Either way, frustrating. I would like to call out that Ramazani and Nonto as a pairing is still absolutely incredible. Ramazani's finishing is off the chain. Nonto's assist was really, really nice. And I think we would have had a better looking attack throughout this match, but it's very clear that we had an eye on just holding on to a point late on, which is completely fine. Because, again, point on the road against Norwich, who haven't lost there in a very long time. We're in the playoffs last season. That ain't bad, considering our situation with the squad at the moment. So, had a few conclusions as well, that we are, first of all, still a very, very good side, even when we are absolutely injury ravaged. Our side had been pulled apart before this match, and it's been sort of stitched back together with a few players in spots and roles that they might not enjoy. And you've got to consider that if we wanted to bring on a winger in this match, it had to be Joe Gelhardt, who isn't a winger, which is sort of telling of the situation that we're in at the minute. That's why I think that the upcoming match against Sunderland will be a very interesting prospect, because how much can you train Tanaka or Rothwell to be a 6 in this system? How much can you train all of the adjustments that we need to make it look as effective as we can before that game? I think we will. I think we'll look okay. I think we'll look very, very good. I think we'll look better against Sunderland, because this was a very hodgepodge middle of the park in this match. But I guess time will tell. And at the end of the day, as always, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't yet. That's always massively appreciated and helps the channel out. Could even become a channel member. It's 99p for a month, and you get videos like this one early. So that'd be massively appreciated too. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Ta-ra. Can't believe my Norwich fan co-worker doesn't get to mock me, and I don't get to mock him. What's the point? Stupid.